What's good, y'all? I wanted to drop a video real quick before I take this call. I have to coach somebody. But I wanted to talk about living in your truth. You are not honestly accepting of yourself if you hide your true self from people. Like, it's easy to show people the person you became from putting in the work on becoming your greatest self. It's easy to show people, you know, the good parts about you. But in all actual honesty, like if you're not able to share the nitty gritty parts about you to a person or to people, then they can't really say they fuck with you. They can't say they really love and care for you if all they see is the revised you. If they don't know about your past, if they don't know about your truth. It's important, and I'm not saying go out there and broadcast it to the world. I do advise people to share their story because I feel like each and every one of us has a story that if we share it, you know, it can help other people out there who is experiencing the same things we used to. But at the end of the day, a person can't really say they love and care about you if they don't know the nitty gritty parts about you. And that's just facts. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, it's equivalent to, you know, women out here that be wearing the makeup. Yeah, you look good with the makeup on, and yeah, that motherfucker wants you, and they find you attractive. But will they still feel the same way when you take it off? Will they feel the same way when you wake up in the morning and you ain't brush your teeth and your hair all over your fucking head and your breath stink? Will they still feel the same way then? You know, and that's why I said, like, with that especially, I believe in showing a motherfucker who you are without all that on. You look good with it on, but let me see what you look like without it on. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's the same with your truth. And I think a lot of times people don't want to speak the truth and they hide their true self because they're afraid of judgment. And you got to understand something, like, it is possible. It's a huge possibility that when you speak your truth, when you share the nitty-gritty parts about you, that people are going to judge. You got some people out there that when they hear that shit, they going to sit there and act like the pill that they're swallowing from hearing it is tougher to swallow than the pill you had to swallow back then. I don't give a fuck what you did in your past. Don't none of that shit define you. What defines you the most is who you became after all of that shit. The work you put in on yourself after all of that shit. I don't care if you was locked up in jail. I don't care if you sold drugs. I don't care if you was a stripper for a while. I don't care if you was a prostitute. I don't care what it is that you did in your past. You are not defined by that. Because no matter how terrible that shit may seem on the outside looking in, the truth is those things are what helped build you. That's what helped created you. All those lessons and those experiences and shit that you went through back then because of those things, that's what helped build you into who you are today. And it's not really, I'm not saying be proud of those things, because it's shit there's shit about me that I'm not proud of. But be proud in the fact that you overcame that. Be proud in the fact that you was able to put that shit to the side and focus on becoming a better you and doing better. Because no matter who say they love and care about you, no matter who say they your friend or any of that, at the end of the day, if they cannot accept that about you, because it's gonna come out. You can only hide that side of you for so long. Because that's just what it is. Like, it's gonna come out. That's why with me, it ain't really no secret. So if some shit come out about me, motherfuckers be like, oh, we already knew that. But I made sure it was like that because I didn't want to hide that part about me. You know what I'm saying? Because those things is what made me. You are not defined by your mistakes. You are not defined by your past. It's okay. And you got to understand that if you tell it, this is how you look at it. If you tell it and those people begin to judge you, or people will walk away from you or start looking at you funny, that's still a blessing. It's a blessing because you won't be wasting your time. You ain't got to worry about a possible heartache. You ain't got to worry about wasting your time. You ain't got to worry about being with nobody fake or being around anybody fake. Like, if people walk away from you or people judge you because you tell your truth, then that's just letting you know they weren't meant to be there anyway. That's okay. Let their ass go. Let them go. But when you sit there and you hide your true self like that, for me, it's like you missing out on a blessing. It's easy to fall in love with a motherfucker who seem like they got all their shit together. It's easy to be cool with a person that and they make it seem like they got all their shit together. Or it make it seem like they're flawless, like they can't do any wrong, or like they're just this perfect person. But if I tell you my truth, will you still love and care for me the same? Will you still accept me? Will you still rock with me? And a lot of y'all out there, y'all got people in y'all circle right now that if they knew the nitty gritty parts about you, they wouldn't even rock with you. They wouldn't even fuck with you. They wouldn't even look your way. Like I always say, like, all of us we got our individual paths in life. And we all tend to be hard-headed as fuck. And that's why certain things that we all experience in life and go through will be different from the other person. Some people may have to go through the most extreme of everything in order to wake the fuck up about themselves compared to someone else. But you got to understand that a lot of what we go through in life, our lives, whether you believe in it or not, is destined. Is managed and created by the divine. And that's whether you believe it or not. You're literally like, you don't see the puppet strings, but you're literally like this puppet when it comes to the universe and God. And it's like Build-A-Bear. You're being shaped and molded through your experiences in order to become who you were destined to become. And once you really understand that shit, you'll start to realize that through every experience that you go through in life, you know that it's just a lesson to be learned. And then once you learn it, you have to apply it so it can help you become the person that you was meant to become. That's all it is. Sometimes that shit hurt, and sometimes it don't. It just depends. And it will intensify the more you would try to reject it. The more you try to go against the grain of things, it's going to intensify until you actually get it. You have to be able to tell your truth. The nitty gritty parts about you. Because at the end of the day, you really can't hide that shit. People gonna find out. Whether it's they gonna hear somebody, hear it from somebody else's mouth because people talk too damn much. Or, they might be around your family one day and motherfucker just start telling a story. But you would honestly rather tell your truth as soon as possible to people so that you won't be set up for like heartache and shit and disappointment. Because here you are, you got these people in your circle, or you dealing with this specific person, and you thinking they rocking with you for the right reasons until they hear your truth. Then they looking at you funny and turning their lip up at you. And that shit gonna hurt your feelings because you thought they really fuck with you. But you fail to realize that they really ain't know you either. They know the you that you changed, the you that you revised, the you that you corrected because of those things, because of your truth. But do they actually know your truth? And the real motherfucker, when they hear your truth, they gonna fuck with you. It's gonna produce a certain level of respect for you. For one, because you was brave enough to tell it. And then for two, when they see that you made changes to your life, when they see that you became a greater person, a better person, a real person is gonna really fuck with you because of that. And the motherfucker that say they love and care for you gonna really love and care for you even more because of that. So like I said, it's not about you going out and expressing to the whole fucking world, like, hey, guess what I used to do in my past? Like, I'm not saying that. But when it comes to specific people, like the people you call your friends, and especially the person that you claim you fucking with, your romantic partner, your specific person, if you don't tell them your truth, how you know they really fuck with you for you? Seriously. You don't. And you try to sit there and hide it because you're afraid of them walking away. You're afraid of them rejecting you and dismissing you. But you got to understand, if that's what happens, then you should be happy about that shit. Because rejection is for your protection. It's better for you to know now than later on down the line and that shit come out and then you done called yourself building with a person, or you done established this friendship with people and then they just fucking drop you out of nowhere, because that's what's gonna happen. And then depending on what your past consisted of and what you did, your mistakes, a lot of times too, people tend to worry about if they even good enough for that person that they dealing with. Like, what if I tell them this shit and then I'm no longer good enough? They don't look at me the same. If they really fuck with you, they would. If they really your friend, they still gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? Like, do not hide the truth about yourself when it comes to people, like people, especially people that you have in your life. Because in all honesty, if you hide that about you, that's just saying you don't even accept yourself. And if you don't accept yourself, how do you expect other people to accept you? And a lot of times, the one thing about healing, it's a lot of shit that we all go through in life that you may have quote unquote healed and moved on, but it's a lot of shit that we'll never forget. It's a lot of trauma that we all have experienced, and a lot of shit that we all been through, that it was so intensifying that you just, at some point in life, you just learned to live around that shit. It didn't go nowhere. Some of that trauma and shit is still in us. That's why there's triggers. That's what a trigger is. Because of shit that we really ain't healed from. And you have to be able to share that shit with people. For one, so they can really accept who you are. Not saying that you are you're still who you used to be, because you're not. But they have to understand that because of those things and because of what you did, the mistakes, and because of the past that you had, that's what helped you create you today. That's what helped made you today who you are. And then for two, it will help people understand how to deal with you as well, how to handle you. So if you are triggered by some shit, then they'll be like, oh yeah, they did tell me, you know what I mean? And they'll have a better understanding. They'll know how to handle you. They're not going to judge you if you happen to show your ass. They're not going to judge you depending on how you move because of the trigger. You know what I mean? That shit is important, and I don't think people understand that. So it's bigger than just you hiding it because you're afraid of the judgment. It helps set the tone for each relationship that you have, whether it be a friend and or family too, friend, family, or romantic partner. It helps set the tone. It's like a blueprint. Like, okay, well they told me this and they went through this and they experienced this, so this is probably why they acting like this. And then people won't take it so personal. But if you don't share your truth and you're triggered by something, then people just gonna think you tripping. But to fully gain full acceptance from people, you have to be able to share the nitty-gritty parts about you. Like the parts about you that'll make a motherfucker turn they lip up. The parts about you that'll make a motherfucker walk away from you or turn their back on you. You just have to do that shit to really know if a person is really your friend, or to really know that somebody is really in your life and they really there because they love and care for you. You got to see that other side of me. You got to at least know that other side of me. Because that's your truth. That's what helped make you who you are today. Stop hiding who you are. Don't be afraid to tell that shit. Because if you don't accept you, you can't really expect nobody else to.